Imagine a man who seamlessly blended into the fabric of his community, a loving father, a devoted pastor, a figure of respect and trust. To those around him, Andras Pandy appeared to be the epitome of virtue and integrity. But behind this facade of piety and kindness lay a profoundly sinister reality. Underneath the polished exterior was a dark, twisted soul capable of atrocities beyond imagination. In this chilling exploration, we will delve into the depths of Pandy's horrifying life, revealing the true extent of his malevolence and how he managed to mask his true nature for so long. Prepare yourself for a journey into the shadows as we unearth the disturbing secrets of a predator who successfully hid in plain sight. Welcome to the horrifying life of Andras Pandy. In the next moments, we will dissect the layers of deceit that allowed a man to maintain a veneer of respectability while committing unspeakable acts of cruelty. We'll uncover the disturbing details of his life, his heinous crimes, and the shocking revelation that ultimately brought his dark legacy into the light. Stay with us as we navigate through the haunting tale of one of history's most chilling criminals. Chapter 1. A Sinister Start. Born in Hungary in 1927, Andras Pandy seemed destined for a quiet, unremarkable life. Yet, even in his youth, he displayed a unique ability to manipulate and control those around him. He possessed a charisma that masked his darker tendencies, allowing him to move through life without raising suspicion. In the 1950s, Pandy emigrated to Belgium, seeking a fresh start. It was here that he reinvented himself as a pastor, using his position to gain trust and respect within his new community. However, this new beginning was anything but innocent. Pandy's move to Belgium wasn't just a chance to start over. It was an opportunity to escape his past and create a new life where he could exert control and dominance. His role as a pastor gave him the perfect cover. It allowed him to appear virtuous and caring, all while hiding his true nature. Pandy's manipulation skills grew more sophisticated over time as he learned to exploit the trust placed in him by his parishioners and those closest to him. As he settled into his role, Pandy began to show signs of his darker inclinations. He was known to be strict and authoritarian, often imposing his will on others without a second thought. Those who knew him well noticed a disturbing undercurrent to his personality, one that hinted at something far more sinister than mere strictness. This was the beginning of a pattern of behavior that would ultimately reveal the true horror of who Andras Pandy really was. Chapter 2. The Charismatic Facade. On the surface, Andras Pandy was a model of respectability. He was seen as a devoted family man, a dedicated pastor, and a helpful neighbor. He participated in community events, offered guidance to those in need, and was always ready to lend a hand. His charming demeanor and apparent commitment to his faith made him a beloved figure in his community. Yet this facade was carefully crafted to hide his true nature. Behind closed doors, Pandy was far from the loving husband and father he pretended to be. He was a man driven by a need for control and power. His home life was marked by a strict hierarchy, with Pandy at the top, ruling over his family with an iron fist. His children and stepchildren were subjected to severe discipline, isolated from the outside world, and conditioned to obey without question. Pandy's manipulation extended beyond his immediate family. He knew how to charm and deceive those around him, using his charisma to manipulate people into doing his bidding. He exploited the trust of his parishioners, presenting himself as a benevolent figure while secretly harboring dark desires. His ability to maintain this double life was a testament to his cunning and the depths of his depravity. As the years went by, the contrast between Pandy's public persona and his private behavior became more pronounced. He became increasingly controlling, using psychological and physical abuse to keep his family in line. His manipulation was so effective that even those closest to him didn't suspect the horrors that were unfolding behind closed doors. It was this ability to deceive and control that would eventually allow him to commit his terrible crimes without detection for so long. Chapter 3. A Calculated Predator. As time went on, Pandy's need for control grew stronger. He married multiple times, each marriage serving as a means to expand his control and influence. His children and stepchildren were little more than pawns in his twisted game, used to fulfill his desires and satisfy his need for dominance. Pandy's home became a prison for those under his control, a place where fear reigned and his word was law. Pandy's manipulative skills were not limited to his immediate family. He used his position as a pastor to extend his control over his community. He preyed on vulnerable individuals, exploiting their trust and taking advantage of their faith. He used his charm and charisma to mask his true intentions, creating a web of deceit that ensnared all who came into contact with him. Behind the walls of his home, Pandy's behavior grew increasingly erratic and violent. He subjected his family to psychological and physical abuse, using fear and intimidation to maintain his control. His children were isolated from the outside world, denied any sense of normalcy or freedom. Pandy's need for control was insatiable, and he would stop at nothing to keep his family under his thumb. The true extent of Pandy's depravity was not revealed until years later, but even then, the signs were there for those who looked closely. He was a master manipulator, skilled at hiding his true nature behind a mask of respectability. His ability to deceive and control was unparalleled, allowing him to commit his crimes without detection for years. It was only a matter of time before his carefully constructed facade would begin to crumble, revealing the monster beneath. Chapter 4. The Murders. Andras Pandy's descent into murder began with his own family members, whom he viewed as disposable objects in his pursuit of control and domination. The first known victims were his second wife, Alona, and her daughter, Tund, from a previous marriage. Pandy manipulated and abused them, creating an environment of fear and compliance. In the late 1980s, he decided to eliminate them. He lured them into his basement, under the pretense of discussing a serious matter. Once there, he bludgeoned them to death with a heavy object, striking them repeatedly until they were dead. Afterward, he dismembered their bodies with a saw, a method that allowed him to dispose of the remains more easily. Pandy then dissolved the dismembered bodies in acid, a process he had meticulously planned to ensure there would be no physical evidence left behind. Pandy's gruesome methods didn't stop there. He went on to murder his third wife, Edith, and two of their children. The killings followed a similar pattern. Pandy would isolate his victims, use violence to subdue them, and then proceed to kill them in cold blood. With Edith, he again used blunt force trauma to render her unconscious before finishing the job. His two children were subjected to similar fates, one by strangulation and the other by drowning. Pandy's choice of methods often depended on the situation and his need to maintain control over the victims, showing a chilling adaptability in his approach to murder. Over the years, Pandy's actions grew increasingly brazen. He targeted his stepchildren as well, considering them threats to his authority and fearing they might expose his actions. He manipulated one of his stepdaughters into assisting him with the murders, coercing her into helping dismember and dispose of the bodies. This forced complicity further ensured her silence and obedience. His ability to manipulate and coerce others into participating in his crimes added another layer of horror to his actions, showing a deeply calculated mind behind the brutality. Each murder followed a ritualistic pattern. After killing his victims, Pandy would dismember their bodies and use industrial-strength chemicals, including acid, to dissolve the remains. He stored the body parts in barrels and disposed of them in various locations, often dumping them in local rivers or hidden in basements. This gruesome disposal method allowed him to evade capture for many years, as there was little physical evidence linking him to the crimes. Pandy's methods were as much about control and dominance as they were about eliminating threats. He thrived on the power he held over his victims, relishing the ability to end their lives with impunity. His actions were calculated, cruel, and meticulously planned, reflecting a mind driven by a need for absolute authority over his family. Chapter 5. Capture and Trial. Andras Pandy's murderous spree could have continued indefinitely, if not for the brave actions of his stepdaughter. Agnes, who finally broke free from his manipulative grip in the mid-1990s. After years of living under his oppressive rule and participating in his horrific acts out of fear, she summoned the courage to come forward. Agnes's testimony to the Belgian authorities was the first step in unraveling the macabre secrets Pandy had hidden for so long. The police were initially skeptical of Agnes's claims, as the details of the murder sounded too horrific to be true. However, a thorough investigation ensued, which uncovered a trail of disappearances and strange incidents linked to Pandy. The police dug deeper, finding evidence of missing family members who had never been reported as missing. This led them to Pandy's home, where a gruesome discovery awaited them. In the basement of Pandy's residence, investigators found traces of blood and remnants of bone fragments that had been partially dissolved in acid, confirming Agnes's account. The horrifying evidence of Pandy's crimes was laid bare: barrels containing the remains of his victims, personal belongings of those who had vanished, and tools he had used for dismemberment. The meticulous manner in which Pandy had disposed of the bodies and the lengths he went to avoid detection showed a calculated and methodical approach to his crimes. Pandy's arrest sent shockwaves through Belgium and beyond. His trial became a major media spectacle, with gruesome details emerging daily. In court, Pandy maintained his innocence, claiming that the victims had left voluntarily or had gone missing under mysterious circumstances unrelated to him. However, the forensic evidence, combined with testimonies from witnesses, including his coerced stepdaughter, painted a damning picture of a man who had committed numerous murders in cold blood. During the trial, it was revealed that Pandy had not only killed his family members, but had also meticulously planned and executed their murders. The prosecution detailed how he would lure his victims to their deaths, often under the guise of a family meeting or outing, before brutally killing them. The chilling accounts of how he bludgeoned, strangled, or drowned his victims, followed by the systematic dismemberment and disposal of their bodies, shocked everyone present. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Pandy remained unrepentant throughout the trial. His cold, emotionless demeanor and refusal to acknowledge his crimes only served to underline the depravity of his actions. In 2002, Pandy was found guilty of multiple counts of murder and sentenced to life imprisonment. He died in 2013, taking with him the secrets of any other possible victims whose names and fates may never be known. Chapter 6: Legacy of Horror. The case of Andras Pandy left an indelible mark on Belgian society and the world. His actions revealed the terrifying reality that even those who appear trustworthy and upstanding can harbor the darkest of secrets. Pandy's ability to lead a double life for so many years, presenting himself as a devoted father and pastor, while secretly being a cold-blooded murderer, shocked a nation and shattered any illusions about the inherent goodness of people. Pandy's crimes highlighted the importance of vigilance and the need for thorough investigations into cases of domestic violence and missing persons. His ability to evade detection for so long pointed to significant gaps in the system that needed addressing. The case led to increased awareness and improved protocols within law enforcement agencies, ensuring that similar cases would be handled with the seriousness and resources they deserved. For the families of Pandy's victims, the pain and loss remain a haunting legacy. The lives he took can never be returned, and the trauma he inflicted on those who survived continues to affect them deeply. Yet, amidst this darkness, there is also a story of resilience and courage. The bravery shown by Pandy's stepdaughter in coming forward, despite the fear and manipulation she endured, serves as an enduring reminder of the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable horror. Pandy's story is a stark reminder of the evil that can lurk beneath a veneer of normalcy. It underscores the importance of questioning appearances and understanding that anyone is capable of terrible acts if driven by the right combination of malice, opportunity, and secrecy. His legacy is a chilling testament to the potential for darkness within humanity, reminding us to remain vigilant and always strive for justice for those who cannot seek it themselves. As we reflect on the horrors perpetrated by Andras Pandy, it is essential to remember the lessons learned from his case. His life, shrouded in deception and cruelty, serves as a warning of what can happen when evil goes unchecked. While he may be gone, the impact of his crimes continues to be felt, reminding us all of the importance of protecting the vulnerable and ensuring that justice is served, no matter how long it takes. As we conclude this chilling exploration into the life of Andras Pandy, it is clear that his story is not just about the horrendous crimes he committed, but also about the resilience of the human spirit. The courage displayed by his stepdaughter, who broke free from his grip and brought his deeds to light, serves as a beacon of hope and strength. Her bravery reminds us that even in the darkest of times, there is light. The case of Andras Pandy is a stark reminder that we must always remain vigilant, even when evil hides behind the mask of normalcy and respectability. It teaches us that while justice can sometimes be delayed, it is never out of reach. The actions of one individual, armed with the truth, can bring down a facade built on lies and horror. Let the story of Andras Pandy serve as a powerful testament to the importance of speaking out against wrongdoing, supporting survivors, and ensuring that justice is served for those who can no longer speak for themselves. His crimes were unspeakable, but they are a crucial reminder of the evil that can exist behind closed doors. Thank you for joining us today in exploring the dark life of Andras Pandy. Remember to stay alert, ask questions, and never be afraid to stand up for what is right. Evil often hides in plain sight, and it is up to us to ensure it is brought to justice. Until next time, stay safe and vigilant.